My name is Charles Christensen. I'm a resident of Sedona since about 1990, and I'm a retired military and airline pilot, and I'm currently serving on the Sedona Fire District Board of Directors.
My name is Nazay Hazemi, the fire chief for the Sedona Fire District. My wife and I relocated from Dearborn, Michigan after living there my whole life and relocating out here. For the fire chief's been vacant for about 10 months. And from my understanding, the executive team were the ones that were running the district, if you will. It wasn't one single person, it was a body of 4.
The district operated without a chief for approximately 2 years, and this caused a lot of things to happen that were unsupervised, and perhaps in many ways there were too many supervisors because people were trying to fill in.
Within the fire district, as I first took over this office, there were some issues. There were some things that needed to be taken care of immediately. So I kind of prioritized the items that needed to be handled right away, and with the support of my executive team and the fire district board members as well, and we all worked together and took care of business.
They started taking on more responsibility than perhaps they should, and that created a kind of an overage here that has brought us to where we are today. I
think all the fuss in the community, well, it's a good question, and I think it stems from many years ago and all the way up to today.
The annual budget has gone, since I have been involved, from $9 to about $15 million.
As the department grew, it went probably from, and the community itself, from 10,000 maybe population up to 20,000 within maybe a decade. And the fire district itself grew within that period of time. The demands became more to the district as far as emergency incidents, not only internally with the citizens and the business owners, but also with the tourists. We average about 4 million tourists a year, and those people we also respond to for emergency incidents. We certainly want to cut the budget as tight as we can get it, and we're always revisiting that. That never stops. We just don't create the budget for the next fiscal year and then go to sleep and forget about it. That's every day we're looking at better ways, cost savings operations with all the different divisions within the district. That's my job. So it's important that we stay on top of that so we can get the best service at the lowest cost to the community.
A few of the areas that the board is looking at very carefully right now is overtime has increased quite radically, and we have numerous other areas where expenses have increased, and we're very carefully looking at those now.
I've been in the public safety business, now retired, but for 32 years, and I know all about the finances, the budgets, all that stuff. I also understand the need to have people on call for public safety needs. However, I also know that scheduling can be done creatively. Been there, done that, had that done to me, where you can actually plan for overtime. Every month, every year, every week, however often you want it, you can get it. And overtime counts towards a public safety retirement pension. Not everyone knows that, but it's $1 in, $1 out.
Even without any overtime, there is built-in overtime because of the scheduling. And I don't know of any way to get around that, and I doubt if anybody else does. But there may be, I don't know. But in any case, I think the public needs to know that, who looks at and hears an overtime number, and that's not really all overtime. Probably most of our overtime is probably on wildfires. This is just built into the scheduling, and the public needs to know that. Even if the guy doesn't work a minute overtime, he's going to get overtime.
The overall overtime budget was reduced by 15.6% from fiscal year 2008 to 2009 to fiscal year 2009-2010, with the overtime discretionary budget reduced by 33.6%.
The thing we're looking at right now is we're approximately 18 months behind the cycle of property tax as opposed to home valuations. We're going to see probably an 18 to 20% this year alone, and if you look at your own property statements, I think my house devaluated about 30%, so we may even be a little more than that. And those are the impacts that we're going to have. I would like to see us operating with a much leaner budget than we are projecting right now.
We went through a lot of efforts to get a top-notch chief. We had 50 candidates. We finally got one that you all agreed was a great chief. He has the experience. He has the know-how. Let him do his job.
With all the adjustments that we've made with the budget, we have to be very cautious as we get to a certain level within the budget that we don't disrupt the level of service.
I would ask you not to micromanage him. And the reason is, frankly, relating to not only the safety of all of us, but also the ISO levels. And to preserve that ISO rating is critical because, as I mentioned to you before, if we go, as an example, from a 3 to a 6, I personally will have my property casualty insurance premiums go from $300,000 to $600,000 per year, and all of us living within the district could see an increase of $5 million or $10 million in our property insurance.
The community risk management section is what I would call an additional duty for the fire marshal and some of the people he employs. And it has gone to what I think would be additional services that maybe are excess or are not really required. To me, the district exists for two reasons: to put out fires and provide emergency service. And the list of services that have grown beyond that are, I believe, excessive now and way beyond what we need. That's why EMS is 90% of the business. The fire end of the business is relatively small compared to the EMS end of the business. For $1.5, maybe $2 million in collection of ambulance revenues. However, to operate and cost and provide the service costs us $3.5 to do it. Now, those are approximate figures, but in other words, in an accounting principle, you'd call this being upside down.
But our engines and our ambulances run together on our EMS calls, and that's to provide the best care that we can to our patients. As far as the billing goes, first of all, we handle our own internal billing, which generates $1.5 million. It's our biggest revenue that we do for the Sedona Fire District. If we transport you to the hospital, there's going to be a charge. We absorb a little over $200,000 a year because that's what we don't go after above and beyond what the insurance pay. Most of your private ambulance companies, and if not all of them, they're in the business, you know, to make the dollars in as much as they can. They won't just stop at the insurance companies. They want their full bill paid off. So however that needs to happen, they're going to pursue it.
I have no question that there can be great efficiencies brought out of this budget. Look, I've got a real big budget in all of these businesses, and I'm whacking and cutting just like all of you are. But I've met personally with the chief twice. I've got tremendous confidence that he knows what he's doing. He knows where to cut. And the fact that he's already cut at $1.2 million or $1.3 million shows that he knows exactly what he's doing.
And in most states and in Phoenix and in other cities, you see pullbacks, cutbacks, wage reductions, a lot of things, and the union is going along with this. We haven't done that here. And we do have, I think, because of the amount of cash we have on hand, we have the ability to carry forward and not do that for a considerable period of time. But I think we have a responsibility to our taxpayers and our citizens here who are going through hard times to help them out. It's time that we got with the program and said, hey, America is in kind of tough shape now. Let's bend a little bit and give back to the community here.